Hello everyone. So welcome to lesson 2 ye trigonometry ya grade 10. So ngaphambi ukuthi sithome ngelesson namhlanje ethi discuss a challenge question le isende egroupini ekseni. Right? So lana sine question bathi in triangle PQR, angle Q is 90 degrees, PQ is 12 centimeters, QR is 15 centimeters. Then but write down the value of each of the following. So they want us to write down the values for lama trigonometric ratios, right? Kumbule sithe sine is equals to the opposite over hypotenuse, cos is adjacent over hypotenuse, and then tan sati is opposite over adjacent, right? So lapha ku 1.1 oops, I think Sulela. Okay, so lapha ku 1.1 we have sine P, right? The sine of angle P is equals to opposite over hypotenuse. What is the opposite of sine P is equals to opposite over hypotenuse. So sine P ngulo, this is the angle sine angle P. So sine P will be the opposite over hypotenuse. The opposite is QR. The hypotenuse is is PR, right? So QR wasinikelile ukuthi it's 5 centimeters, but then PR asimazi, right? So using the theorem of Pythagoras siyazi ukuthi the hypotenuse, which is PR squared, is equals to the sum of the other sides squared, right? So it's QR squared plus PQ squared. This implies that PR is equals to the square root of 5 centimeters squared plus 12 centimeters squared. So toluguti this is 13 centimeters. Therefore sine P, this is 13 centimeters. So toluguti sine P is equals to QR over PR, it's opposite over hypotenuse. So it's 5 centimeter divided by 13, right? And then see lapha ku 1.2, but the cos P. Cos is adjacent over hypotenuse. It's adjacent over hypotenuse. So it's 12 over 13. And then as here 1.3 tan P is equals to opposite over adjacent. So that is 5 divided by 12. Right, so yeah, equation 1 ngiyo leyo. It is straightforward. So if unala ungazwisisi khona, please revise your trigonometric ratios, right? So ukuthi wakhumbule kuhle ama trigonometric ratios ungasebenzisa this abbreviation SOHCAHTOA. Right? So sine, cos, tan. Sine is opposite over hypotenuse. Cos is adjacent over hypotenuse. Tan is opposite over adjacent. So indlela ukuthi ungakhumbula ngayo ungasebenzisa these letters here, SOHCAHTOA, right? Yeah, and then nasiya ku question 2, that is Sulela, and go to question 2. Okay, so asiqale ku question 2. Question 2 uthi in triangle ABC, angle B is 90 degrees, side AB is C, side BC is A, and AC is equals to B. Write in each of the following in terms of A, B, and C. Right, so again sicala ama trigonometric ratios lawa. So 2.1 bathi write down sine A. Right, khumbule ngithe ukuthi ukhumbule ama trigonometric ratios ungasebenzisa these letters or what, mnemonic SOHCAHTOA, right? SOHCAHTOA, right? Sithi kuSOHCAHTOA, sine is opposite over hypotenuse, cos is adjacent over hypotenuse, tan is opposite over adjacent, right? So sine A, sine of angle A, is opposite over hypotenuse, opposite over hypotenuse, so that is A over B, right? And then sine C is opposite over hypotenuse again, so that's C over B, right? And then cos A, city cos is adjacent over hypotenuse, cos A, that's C over B, right? That's C over B, right? And then go 2.4, what is cos C? Cos C is what? Cos is adjacent over hypotenuse again, so that's gonna be A over B, A over B, right? And then 2.5 pattern tan of A, right? And then city tan is opposite over adjacent, so tan A is opposite over adjacent, so that's A over C. 2.6 tan again, tan C, tan is opposite over adjacent, so it's gonna be C over A, C over A. Okay, yeah, that is question 2. Again, fairly straightforward. Now as ama trigonometric ratios wakho, you should be able to answer all the questions. So ukuthi wakhumbula ama trigonometric ratios, sebenzisa these letters or mnemonic SOHCAHTOA. So this is sine, this is cos, this is tan. Sine is opposite over hypotenuse, cos is adjacent over hypotenuse, tan is opposite over adjacent, right? So yeah, indlela ongawakhumbula ungasebenzisa this mnemonic here. Alright, asiye ku question elandelako. Let's create ispace lana. Okay, so the next question is question 4. Okay, so now we have question 4. Question 4, but the all answers must be given correct to 2 decimal places where applicable. But it determine the length of x in the given sketches. So 4.1, we are calculating x, right? 4.1. So they want the value of x. We are given the hypotenuse, and then we are given the angle opposite to side x, right? Again, sizosebenzisa ama trigonometric ratios ukusolve this question. So ukuthi siwakhumbule ngithe sizosebenzisa uSOHCAHTOA, right? Sithi sine is opposite over hypotenuse, cos is adjacent over hypotenuse, tan is opposite over adjacent, right? Tan is opposite over adjacent. So ku-4.1 lapha basinikele i-angle and then bathi si-calculate u-x. Notice ukuthi x is opposite this angle, therefore we can use sine, right? We can use sine to calculate x, because nasiyothi sine 35, that will be equals to opposite over hypotenuse, which is x over 7. So now yothi sine 35 degrees, that will be x over 7, which implies that x is equals to 7 sine 35, right? So this is equals to, now press a calculator yakho, 7 sine 35, that will be 4.02. now round to 2 decimal places, 4.02 centimeters, right? And then siyadlula siya question 4.2, right? Question 4.2, again we are calculating x basinikele hypotenuse, basinikela angle 65, and then but is calculate your x, right? So notice that x is next to the angle 65, or x is adjacent to angle 65. Because this is adjacent, we can use the trigonometric ratio cos to calculate x. So now we take cos 65 degrees, that will be x over 10, right? Which implies that x is equals to 10 cos 65. Now press our calculator, that is 4.23 centimeters, right? That's 4.23 centimeters. Okay. And then siyadlula siya question 4.3, right? So lapha hypotenuse asinayo, right? So if hypotenuse nasinganayo, it means we cannot use sine, and then we cannot use cos, because lezo zine hypotenuse, right? So which means we can use tan, right? So if we take tan 72, that will be x over 20. So now we take tan 72, that will be x over 20, which implies that x is equals to 20 tan 72, which is equals to 61.55. 61. Okay, so yeah, ama-question lawo sasolva njalo sisebenzisa ama-trigonometric ratios. Lapho khunye ungayasebenzisa i-theorem of Pythagoras to calculate the hypotenuse, right? Yeah, or maybe calculate the other angles, and then usebenzise ama-trigonometric ratios, right? So if awukazwisisi indlela engichaze ngayo, wangitshela lapho ku-WhatsApp, and then ngizama ukuthi ngikuchazele. Okay, okay, so nasithoma ilesson yethu i-trigonometry sithome sa introduce a right angle triangle and then sa define nama sides, right? So sithe ku right angle triangle sine hypotenuse, and then from a point of view yaka theta, you'll have an adjacent side and then a side opposite to that angle, right? And then we use this sort of like definitions to labels lawa we're trying a 90 degree triangle to define trigonometric ratios, right? So sine hypotenuse sine side opposite to an angle, and then siba side adjacent to an angle. So like in this case a triangle ABC, from a point of view or from a point of reference angle alpha, BC is the opposite side, AB is the adjacent side, and then AC will be the hypotenuse, right? And then must define trigonometric ratios way to see here. Sine of alpha will be the opposite side divided by the hypotenuse, and then cos of alpha will be the adjacent side divided by the hypotenuse, and then tan of alpha will be the opposite side divided by the adjacent side, right? So lama definitions lawa i3 wama trigonometric ratios, they have reciprocals, right? So lana bati reciprocals of the trigonometric ratios, of the three trigonometric ratios, right? So the way we define a reciprocal ratio, the reciprocal ratios are the inverse versions of each of the main ratios, right? So reciprocal yaga sine alpha will be the inverse of sine alpha. Reciprocal yaga cos alpha will be the inverse of cos alpha. Same applies for tan, right? So the inverse of sine is cos. The inverse of sine theta is cosec theta. The inverse of cos theta is sec theta, and then the inverse of tan theta is cot theta, right? So siyazi ukuthi from the definition yalama trigonometric ratios lawa i3, ngithe indlela ongayisebenzisa ukuthi wakhumbule it's by using abbreviation layer or mnemonic layer SOHCAHTOA, right? So SOHCAHTOA lapho uzobona ukuthi sine theta is opposite over hypotenuse, and then mase uya ku reciprocal or inverse yaka sine theta ekungu cosec theta. If sine theta is opposite over hypotenuse, then the inverse of that will be hypotenuse over opposite, right? Indlela bayichaza ngayo la, right? So sine theta is opposite over hypotenuse. The reciprocal ratio or the inverse of sine theta ekungu cosec theta will be hypotenuse over opposite, right? So the inverse of sine theta is cosec theta. It means let's hit inverse, that's 1 over sine theta, right? So yeah, the same applies for cos theta. Cos theta is adjacent over hypotenuse. The inverse is sec. So now it is sec theta cos theta is adjacent over hypotenuse, right? And then masa uya ku inverse yalokho, you'll have adjacent hypotenuse over adjacent, right? So ama inverses, you just sort of like flipping the denominator ne numerator, right? So inverse yaga sine theta, you will have this numerator as the denominator and the denominator as the numerator. The same applies for the other two, right? Yeah, so those are the reciprocal ratios. These are only examinable ku grade 10. So mase ufika ku grade 11 or grade 12 angeke basakubuza ngalama reciprocal ratios. All right. Yeah. Okay, and then siba nama special triangles or special angles. So indlela bawatesta ngayo ama-special angles or special triangles bazotesta ngokuthi if bakunikele i-special triangle or i-special angle, lapho bazovamisa ukutesta ngokuthi ungasebenzisi i-calculator. That's how they will know ukuthi you are using ama-special angles or triangles, right? So lana bathi the ratios of certain angles are well known and we can use them to solve problems. These angles are 0 degrees, 30 degrees, 45 degrees, 60 and 90. We can show these angles except for 0 in two triangles as shown below, right? So yeah, they have a triangle with these special angles, and then from there you can calculate trigonometric ratios from that special triangle, right? From these two special triangles you can calculate trigonometric ratios. Okay, so yeah, and then they are summarized in this table here. So kubalulekile ukuthi wazi lama triangle lawa i2. If you are able to memorize them, memorize, right? So nabathi calculate without the use of a calculator, this will involve a special triangle or special angles, right? And then mase angisakhumbula ukuthi it's grade 10 or grade 11 mase kuyiwa kuma reductions wala ma trigonometric ratios, ama special angles asebenza kakhulu lapho. So yeah, okwanje into enga-advise yona ukuthi try to understand, or if uyakhona just memorize lama triangle, and then nabathi calculate without the use of a calculator, and then you just draw the picture. And then if bathi calculate sine 45, for example, you will have 1 divided by the square root of 2. But then if you calculate sine 45 from a calculator, you'll have square root of 2 divided by 2. So if you balance square root of 2 divided by 2 straight away, they will know what you didn't apply. They will know what you usebenzise calculator, or you didn't refer to these special triangles. Yeah. So I think for today singajamala, and then we'll sort of look at more questions, right? Also esexele lana ukuthi senze ama questions. Into esele ukuthi senze ama questions. So isection lena i-trigonometry ukuthi sizwisise ngcono kumele senze ama question amaningi. Yeah, so kulama video ezako sizobe sidiscussa ama questions, senze ama questions. So if unama khona la ungazwisisi khona, maybe from lokho abothishere sebakufundise khona already, or from lokhu esengichazile up to this point, feel free ukuthi ungazise lapho ku WhatsApp. I can explain khona lapho egroupini. Yeah, nibuza ama question. So far I think ama question aniwabuzi ngokwanele. Khumbula ukuthi mina ngila uzosiza nina, so ukuthi nginisize kuzofanele nibuze ama question, right? Yeah, so encourage ukuthi nibuze ama question. Yeah, I think that's enough for this video. Yeah.